Hello friends, if you went to a bank and forgot to bring a pen, there is a stranger who has the pen. What will you tell? Will you give me your pen? Or would you give me your pen please? If you are confused like I was, then don't worry. At the end of the lesson, I will give you the answer. This is part 4 in the series of learning modal verbs. In this video, you will learn the application of modal verb will and would, the similarity and differences, and in the end, I will provide you an exercise to practice. So, without a further go, let's get started. The modal verbs will or would are mainly used in 5 different ways. Number 1. Futurity. Number 2. Request and offers. Number 3. Habits. Number 4. Conditionals. And number 5. Certainty. Now, you might be wondering if both the modal verbs are used in these 5 ways, then which one to choose? To clarify it, let's understand each of them one after the other. Number 1. Futurity. Futurity means the future time. Will is used to refer to an event that is happening in the future. For example, the bus will start in a few minutes. Here, we are referring to a future event of starting of bus. So, we have used will. Would is the past form of will. So, in indirect speech, we use would. For example, he said that the bus would start in a few minutes. Let's look into one more example of it. He will pass the exam. Here, will shows the future event. Rakesh said he would pass the exam. Here, would is used in an indirect form. So, in this way, we use will and would for referring to futurity. Let's look into the next usage of the verbs will and would. Number 2. Request and offers. For request and offers, we use will or would. But would is more formal and polite, while will is casual and less polite. As the verb will is more friendly, we use it when we are referring to a friend or relative of the same or younger age. And as would is more generous, we use it when we are referring to elders or strangers. For example, will you give me your keys? Here, one friend is asking another. In this case, we may use will. But if you are asking to a neighbor or a stranger, you should phrase the sentence in this way. Would you give me your keys, please? Let's look into an example where offer is made. Will you have some coffee? Here, the modal verb will is used to make an offer casually. Would you like some coffee? Here, would is used to make an offer formally. Let's look into the next usage of modal verbs will and would. Number 3. Habits. In case of a characteristic habit, we use will, and in case of describing past habits, we use would. Let's look into example of will in this context. He will talk about nothing but cricket. She will sit for hours listening to the radio. In both the sentence, will shows the characteristic habit. Now let's look into example of would. At his young age, he would talk about nothing but cricket. In her childhood, she would sit for hours listening to the radio. Here, would denotes a past habit. Now, let's look into the next usage of the verb will and would. Number 4. Conditionals. In case of a condition where a real situation is talked about, we use will. And where the situations are imaginary, we use would. Let's look into examples where real situations are considered. If it rains tomorrow, I will bring my umbrella. It's a real situation. So we have used will. If he stops wasting time, his grade will be improved. Here also, it's a real situation. So we have used will. Now let's look into examples of imaginary situations. If I had wings, I would fly all over the world. Here we are referring to an imaginary situation. So we have used would. If he had stopped wasting time, his grade would have improved. Here also we are talking about an imaginary situation which is not going to happen. So we have used would here. So in case of real situations, we use will, and in case of imaginary situations, we use would. Let's look into the next usage of the modal verbs will and would. Number 5. Certainty. If we are certain or sure about something, we use the modal verb will. But if we are less certain or not pretty much sure, we tend to use would. For example, somebody is coming up the stairs, and if we are certain that Ankit is coming, what will we say? That will be Ankit, right? As we are certain about it, so we have used will. But if we are less certain, then what we may use? We may use would. So the sentence will be that would be Ankit. So we have to remember the amount of certainty while using will or would. Let's look into one more example of it. Shall we go and have something to eat? If we are certain that canteen won't be open, what will we say? No, the canteen will not be opened yet. And if we are not sure or less certain about it, what will we say? No, the canteen would not be opened yet. So, will or would are used basis on the certainty of any event. So these are the 5 possible ways in which we can use modal verb will or would. Now, I am providing you an exercise to practice. Here, you need to choose the correct modal verb between will or would. The sentences are: the train would arrive at 6 p.m. Will you lend me your scooter please? He would sit for hours talking about politics. If I had huge money, I would buy a Ferrari. I am sure that the call will or would be from the mother. Please message me the correct answers in the comment section. I will be waiting for your reply. That's all in this video. Let's quickly revise what we learned in this lesson. At the beginning of the video, I asked you a question. Which sentence is correct? Will you give me your pen? Or would you give me your pen please? As we are talking to a stranger, we have to be more polite. So the correct sentence will be, would you give me your pen please? Then we learned the 5 ways in which will and would are used, along with the similarities and differences with some examples. The ways are: number 1, futurity; number 2, request and offers; number 3, habits; number 4, conditionals; and number 5, certainty. Finally, I gave you an exercise to practice, whose answers you will be giving me in the comment section. That's all in today's video. Thanks a lot for watching the video. Like, comment, share and subscribe in case you found the video helpful. We will meet in the next video. Till then, goodbye.